Hello, and welcome to The Explainer. Today we're talking about artificial intelligence. But we're going to push aside all the usual chatter about killer robots and, super smart AIs taking over the world. Instead, we are diving into a really fascinating, different way to think about what AI actually is and what it means for how our own ideas evolve.
So this is the big one, right? Is AI a new kind of life? This question is really at the heart of so many of our fears and also our hopes about where all this is headed. I mean, we've all seen the movies. We've all wondered if we're right on the edge of creating a brand new competing life form on this planet. It's a really dramatic thought.
But what if that's completely the wrong way to look at it? There's this powerful alternative idea. So instead of seeing AI as some kind of rival species, this new perspective says we should see it as a tool. Or maybe more accurately, as a new environment where our own ideas are the things that are really alive and evolving.
All right, so let's just jump right in and tackle this. Is AI a life form, or is it more like a really, really smart hammer? Well, the key to figuring this out, it turns out, is to spot a bias that we all have, this organism-centric way of seeing the world. And the argument here is pretty direct. We need to consciously shift our thinking. AI isn't a competitor. It's not alive. It's just the latest thing in a very long line of powerful tools for communication. And that simple shift, that reframing, changes the entire conversation.
So why is it so easy to get this wrong? I mean, we're tempted because these AIs can look and talk so much like us, right? It's really convincing, but it's a cognitive trap. Think about it like Richard Dawkins's idea of the selfish gene. It's a brilliant metaphor for evolution, but nobody really thinks a gene is a conscious, living thing. It's a building block. In the exact same way, AI is a powerful tool, a building block for ideas, but that doesn't make it alive.
Okay, so if AI isn't a life form, what is it then? Well, it's a new environment for ideas. And once you see it that way, you realize it fits perfectly into a clear historical pattern.
And you can see that pattern right here. Each one of these breakthroughs, from speech to the printing press all the way to the internet, created a brand new environment. They didn't just let us say the same old things faster. No, they totally changed the kinds of ideas that could spread, that could compete, and that could thrive. AI is just the next, and maybe the most powerful step in this whole evolution of media.
And this brings us to the most important point. If AI is the environment, what are the actual life forms we should be paying attention to? The answer isn't the robots or the software. It's the idea pools that live and breathe and evolve inside these environments.
So, what in the world is an idea pool? Just think of it like the collective mind of a culture. It's that whole soup of concepts and stories and scientific theories and beliefs that we're all swimming in. And these ideas aren't just sitting there. They are alive. They're constantly fighting for our attention, mashing up in new ways, and evolving. Now, the best way to get a handle on idea pools is to just put them side by side with gene pools, something we all kind of get. So in a gene pool, the little unit of info is the gene, right? And it's carried by organisms, and that leads to the evolution of biological stuff. Well, idea pools work pretty much the same way. The unit of info is an idea, a meme, if you will, and it's carried by our minds and by media. And the result? The evolution of culture itself.
So here's the absolute key takeaway. To really see what's going on, we have to zoom out. The most important evolution isn't happening at the level of you or me or some robot. It's happening at the level of the collective. It's the gene pools and the idea pools. Those are the real evolving entities we need to watch.
Okay, I know this might all sound a little bit academic, a little abstract, but it has incredibly real consequences. And it turns out nature has already run this experiment, and it gives us a pretty chilling warning about what happens when this kind of evolution just runs wild.
And this all leads to a pretty stark warning. When a code pool, whether that's genetic code or a pool of ideas, gets too powerful, it can totally overshadow the individual. The system starts to exist to serve the code, not the people or the organisms inside of it.
So what does this actually look like? It looks like an ant colony. For insects like ants and bees, the collective code, their instincts and chemical signals, has become so completely dominant that the individual ant is almost, well, irrelevant. It's just a cog in the machine. And here's the tragic irony. that makes the whole colony incredibly rigid and less able to adapt to new complex threats. And that is the danger we face, that our own idea pools, supercharged by AI, could evolve in ways that make our whole society less flexible without us even noticing it's happening.
But here's the good news. Unlike ants, we have a superpower. It's called awareness. We can actually see this process happening, we can understand it, and we can make a choice to shape it. The future of our ideas, it hasn't been written yet.
So, how do we do that? How do we actually shape this new environment for the better? Well, it seems like there are two main paths we can take.
On one hand, you've got top-down regulation, making rules for the big tech companies that build these AI systems. And that's useful, for sure. But it's not the whole story. The more fundamental fix, the real permanent solution, actually lies with us. It's about the awareness of every single person using and contributing to these systems, everyone feeding ideas into this new environment.
And that brings us to the final, and I think the most important question. This isn't just a tech issue. It's about our shared responsibility. If AI is a new kind of garden, a new environment for ideas can grow, then every single time you use it, you're a gardener. So the question I want to leave you with is this. What ideas are you planting? And what are you choosing to water?